Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Susan Welton. I'm the Oracle Marketing Manager here at Proficient, and I'm excited to be moderating today's webinar featuring Orthofix, and I'll be discussing their experience with Account Reconciliation Cloud Service and Financial Consolidation and Close Cloud Service. So we're really excited to have the Orthofix folks here today to present on that topic. As I mentioned, there are key members in the Orthofix team on the call today, as well as the General Manager of our EPM practice at Proficient. We also have other team members on the call today as well that will be assisting during the Q&A session. We're going to set the stage with the on-premises challenges. We're going to cover project scope and timeline, and then we're going to wrap up with outcomes and success metrics. Two questions often come up with our online events. Can I watch the slides again? And can I get a link to the recording? The answer to both questions is yes. We will email you with the information on how to access both the slides and the recording following today's event. Time permitting, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the event, so please type your questions into the chat box and feel free to do that at any time. Without further delay, I'd like to introduce today's speakers, Lon Snook, Scott Rodney, and Santosh Nair. Lon joined Orthofix in 2014 as Assistant Controller and was promoted to VP, U.S. Accounting and Consolidations in 2016. He has over 18 years of experience working in public accounting in various publicly traded companies, including time as European Controller and Director of Financial Reporting. Scott joined Orthofix in 2015 during the implementation of HFM. He has 20 years of experience working with Hyperion software products. Santosh is the General Manager of our Oracle EPM practice and is responsible for sales, strategy, and project delivery. With nearly 20 years of consulting experience in EPM, ERP, and BI, he has helped countless clients across a myriad of industries implement financial solutions to drive value within their technology investments. Lon, Scott, and Santosh, welcome.
Thanks, Susan, and a special thanks to Lon and Scott for joining the call today. They've been so gracious enough to join us on this webinar and really share their experience with the Oracle EPM Cloud and working with Proficient. And thanks to everyone else who's joining and spending their time today to hear about the success story of Orthofix as well as their journey into the EPM Cloud landscape. As Susan mentioned, my name is Santosh Nair, the General Manager of the EPM practice here at Proficient. And I do have a few of the implementation consultants from Proficient that did the implementation at Orthofix available to answer any technical questions that may come up at the tail end of our call during the Q&A session. Here's a high-level agenda for today's webinar. We've already covered introductions. We'll talk a little bit about who Proficient is during this call, talk a little bit about the Oracle EPM Cloud landscape and really how they've come about over the years. And then we'll transition over to Lon and Scott to talk a little bit about Orthofix, talk about some of the, what the current state was as they evaluated Oracle EPM Cloud for their financial close process as well as their account reconciliations process. They'll talk a little bit about the project scope, the timeline that we deployed the solutions in, some of the outcomes and metrics that were realized as a part of the implementation. And then talk a little bit about what's next for Orthofix as it relates to EPM and obviously the future of EPM within Orthofix. And then last but not least, we'll make sure we save some time for everyone to ask a few questions related to the overall implementation and some of the considerations that they had made during the evaluation process. So with that, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about Proficient. So just for those of you who have not heard of Proficient in the past, we're a leading digital transformation consulting firm serving the Global 2000 and enterprise customers throughout North America. We provide technology consulting, management consulting, and we also have a creative consulting agency within our organization that really focuses on our digital branding. A little bit more about our profile in terms of our background. We are a publicly traded company traded on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol PRFT. Last year we had annual revenues of about $473 million and approximately 3,000 colleagues worldwide here at Proficient. We do have many technology partnerships, but for this specific webinar, we're going to focus on our Oracle Platinum partnership We've been an Oracle partner for nearly 17 years, and really have done a lot of work in various areas of Oracle. And over the last couple of years, we've focused our business on the cloud aspects of Oracle, and are now a Oracle Platinum Cloud Select partner with 15 different Oracle specializations. One of the key takeaways from this slide is our 95% repeat business rate. This really means that nearly all of our revenue annually comes from customers we've already had relationships with in the past, and they obviously wouldn't have us back unless we did a good job. So doing a good job for our customers is really a key metric that our executive team tracks very, very closely. So again, just a little background about Proficient. Drilling down into our EPM practice, or our Hyperion practice, as some of the legacy Hyperion folks may refer to it as. This is the team that I've been managing for the last 15 years, and historically we had came over to the Oracle ecosystem via acquisition of the Hyperion platform by Oracle, and and historically we've also always been an on-premise solution until about 3 years ago, when Oracle introduced the very first EPM application into the Oracle ecosystem, and that was PBCS. I remember that day very vividly because it was released on Valentine's Day 2014, and unfortunately that gift was not the greatest gift my wife ever got for Valentine's Day, as she always says. Since that time, a lot of different applications have come out, and our team is really focused on all areas of EPM, including evaluating cloud readiness for many customers who are on-premise today. We do a lot of strategy and health checks for both cloud as well as on-premise applications, and really focused our practice around the financial close part of performance management, the planning and budgeting part of EPM, as well as reporting and analytics, hierarchy management with data relationship management, account reconciliation, profitability and cost, and various infrastructure related activities for customers who are still leveraging the on-premise solution. We do own and operate a Oracle authorized education center, as well as maintaining a post-implementation support offering for all of our Hyperion customers or EPM customers, whether they're on-premise or whether they're leveraging the cloud-based solutions that are available from Oracle today. So just a quick poll question for the audience. If you look at the screen today, right now, take a look at which of the following Oracle Cloud offerings your company is currently considering or thinking about looking at, and if you could just check all that may apply to you guys, and you can select more than one. And I'll give it a couple of seconds here, and then just kind of skip to results here. So we're seeing a good trend on planning and budgeting cloud service. We're also seeing some trends around account reconciliation, and then financial consolidations and cloud service, so FCCS. So the big three, are what we're seeing in the marketplace as well. So, and there's a few folks that are not considering any sort of EPM cloud applications today. So roughly about close to 40 responses. And so here's just kind of a graphic of what we're seeing from the audience members as it relates to EPM cloud offerings that you guys are considering at your respective organizations. So interesting stat, and we're kind of seeing those updates. So financial close and planning and budgeting, and those are kind of the core applications within the EPM stack or the former Hyperion stack. So appreciate you guys submitting the responses to that poll question. So this is an interesting fact that was from from CFO Technology Imperatives a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, cloud was really a scary word in the accounting and finance arena. We have steadily seen a trend from CFOs and chief accounting officers where the adoption of cloud is becoming more and more commonplace. And as you can see in this particular chart, CFOs are definitely more open to EPM type processes in the cloud space, especially around financial management, management reporting, and we're seeing a lot more greater adoption in this area. We know the software industry is definitely headed this way, and now we're seeing more and more finance organizations, CFOs and C-level finance folks, controllers, treasurers, and folks of that realm adopting cloud. especially because many organizations are in cost-cutting mode these days, and with cloud, we're able to see significant cost savings in TCO with cloud-based applications. So whether we like it or not, this is the way the industry is going, and we're now more and more seeing more organizations also adopt this way of deployment model. So, when you think about cloud and financial applications, Oracle is at the forefront, and we as an implementation partner, we've aligned ourselves with Oracle's solution sets because we think they truly are market leading, not just because of it's our opinion, but also a lot of third-party analysts also categorize them as the market leader. And today, if you look at the Oracle Cloud applications from an EPM standpoint, there are 7 distinct applications available for customers. PBCS, or Planning Budgeting Cloud Service, and I do apologize in advance for some of the acronyms. Each of the cloud applications do have their respective 4- and 5-letter acronyms, so I do apologize in advance for that. But if you guys do get the slide deck afterwards, there will be a quick reference card on those acronyms. But PBCS, was released, like I said, about 3 years ago, just a couple weeks ago. And it has been the #1 cloud application in the Oracle family. And because there's a great number of customers who require planning and budgeting as part of their normal day-to-day business, the cloud application was an easy target for many of those customers. It was followed by a product called ARCS, Enterprise Performance Reporting Cloud Service, really for narrative reporting. And then soon followed by Account Reconciliation Cloud Service, which is what we're going to talk about today with Orthofix, along with Financial Close Consolidation Cloud Service, which is what they also implemented. And then Enterprise Planning Budgeting Cloud Service was also an enterprise version of what was originally released with PBCS. And then most recently, the 2 modules that were released were PCMCS, or Profitability Cost Management Cloud Service, and Tax Reporting Cloud Service, or TRCS. And really, profitability and cost management really allows business users to really kind of gain insight into cost and profitability, and obviously, after they analyze that information, take corrective action. And then the Tax Reporting Cloud Service really allows corporations to really process tax provisioning and even do country-by-country reporting from a taxing perspective. So again, a comprehensive solution set from Oracle, all cloud-based, but also leveraging nearly the 3 decades of experience that they've had with Hyperion and the other performance management applications they developed over the years. So really cutting edge and really market leading from an EPM cloud perspective. This is a kind of it's a little dated. It's not the most up to date, but just kind of a snapshot of Oracle's presence in the EPM cloud space. This shows 5 products to date, so the 2 new modules aren't even on this list. And to date, I know the subscriptions are well over 2,000, and end users are well over the 120,000 range is what I last heard from an Oracle resource. And literally just over 15 years of product innovation, really as part of the Oracle family, but really going back to the legacy Hyperion days, really nearly 3 decades of experience in performance management. And all of this is kind of wrapped around a 24/7, 365 support, and really provide customers the ability to focus on the strategic initiatives that they have within the organization rather than dealing with a lot of the tactical things that may be required from an on-premise type solution. So in a nutshell, Oracle Cloud Service. Why is there a buzz around cloud, and why is it so pervasive? Well, a couple of reasons why we think cloud is becoming so popular within the marketplace, and slowly customers are getting more and more comfortable with the concept of cloud and the fact that their data is not physically resident in their specific networks. Again, as I mentioned, they can really customers can focus more on strategic initiatives and versus worrying about which servers and where they're going to go, and worrying about data centers and some of those other things. There's no capital cost required up front for infrastructure to support these new applications. IT resources can be focused on other initiatives and not worry about keeping servers up and running, backups, things like that. And more of the business owners from planning or from consolidations can take ownership of these applications because the IT reliance is a lot less. And then, of course, upgrades. For those of you who've leveraged on-premise applications, including Hyperion applications, know that every 12 to 18 months, a release of Hyperion gets released, and there is a several weeks to several months effort of upgrading those applications to the latest and greatest version, and then obviously a testing cycle that goes around that, and it's an evolving iterative process. Like I said, every 12 to 18 months where you have to go through that process. Cloud, with each application you deploy on the cloud, the updates come automatically, and they're scheduled around timings that meet your business needs. And customers are able to take benefit of some of the new features that come with those upgrades. Today what we see is we have several customers who have been on legacy on-premise applications that are 3, 4, 5 years dated, and they don't have some of the standards with third-party software like Internet Explorer, like with Microsoft Office, or even Windows for that matter, because they haven't had a chance to upgrade their versions of software to the latest and greatest release. Cloud prohibits that from happening, in that all the latest features and functions are available. Whether you choose to deploy them, it's totally up to you, but know that those features are available for you to deploy whenever you're ready to use them. And then things like backups. We don't have to worry about on-premise backups and making sure that they're stored off-site somewhere safe. If the building is in a catastrophe, know that with the cloud, Oracle's backing up that information daily, so that you can always revert back to a clean backup and continue business operations. So with Orthofix, 2 of the modules, they implemented 2 of those 7 Oracle Cloud applications. The first was Account Reconciliation Cloud Service. They evaluated various technologies prior to selecting Oracle, and one of the web vendors has historically been the market leader in account reconciliations. With the heavy R&D dollars that Oracle provides in each of their applications, they had built more and more functionality into account reconciliation to the point where they've matched the competitor and even surpassed the competitor in terms of functionality. And obviously, with that, having full capability of cloud-based or a subscription-based offering, it was a decision that Orthofix decided to do, and obviously deployed the solutions and are happy with the end outcome. Some of the benefits of ARCS is kind of bullet pointed here, from global reconciliations to integrations to source systems. And it could be a single ERP that's feeding in transactions. It could be multiple ERP, but there is a integration mechanism along with a reconciliation mechanism with automatic reconciliation capabilities, and then transaction matching, which was the big one that all of our customers seem to be wanting, and Oracle has provided that functionality as well from a feature functions perspective. So again, when you look at compared features to features, it's stacked up well against competition, and then over the last 6 to 12 months, Oracle has really put in a lot of effort and features and functions into the application to surpass a lot of the competition. And the second module that was part of the Orthofix solution was the financial close and Consolidations Cloud Service. So Orthofix already runs Oracle General Ledger for their ERP application, and they also use Hyperion Financial Management and Financial Data Quality Management Enterprise Edition as an on-premise to perform their financial consolidations. What they were looking to do was add some additional functionality to their close process and really look at the financial close management functionality, which really kind of encompasses some of the prerequisite tasks that have to happen before the close is even performed. So subledger closes, any sort of statistical data that needs to be inputted, all of those tasks that needed to be managed as part of the monthly close process needed to be captured, assigned to a resource, tracked in terms of date due, and really kind of put that workflow wrapper around the overall close process. And they decided to leverage the cloud service versus, there is a legacy on-premise version of that tool set that they could have went with, but they ended up going with the cloud service. And good decision, because a lot of the R&D dollars at Oracle and the other software vendors that are out there, they're really putting a lot of investment into the cloud applications, because that is kind of the front runner in terms of where the industry is going. So wrapping the on-premise financial close and consolidations application with FCCS to manage the overall close process close process management and an account reconciliation on the cloud, as well as how Orthofix decided to deploy these solutions. So again, we've seen a lot of success with this, not just at Orthofix, but other clients, and have been very, very successful in deploying these cloud applications. So one more quick polling question here before I transition over to Lon and Scott to cover the Orthofix story. So just a quick question here. What is the biggest challenges you're facing in your current financial close process? And if you can check all that apply and check more than one if it's applicable. And we'll give just a few minutes here and just kind of seeing some of the responses come in. Almost the most popular answer, it seems to be time wasted in Excel, which is no surprise in the finance community. And then obviously resources being stretched very thin. Reporting and variance explanations is also third on the list. So uncontrolled and insecure financial seems to be the least popular answer. So let me just go ahead and just show some results here. So as you guys can see here, time waste in Excel seems to be the biggest challenge most organizations facing during the close process. And then resources, which is always a challenge, right? No matter what process, it seems that resources are always a challenge. And then coming in third is reporting and variance explanations seems to be another big challenge with many customers. So again, thank you for submitting those poll questions. And I'm going to now transition over to Lon to talk a little bit about Orthofix and their story. So Lon, do you want to take it over?
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining today. To give you a little background about Orthofix, we are a $400 million publicly traded company on NASDAQ under the symbol OFIX. We were founded in 1980 in Verona, Italy, and we are a global medical device company providing innovative solutions to physicians around the world. We are headquartered in Lewisville, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, and have 4 business segments. Our first segment is BioStem. This business segment manufactures, distributes, and provides support services for market-leading bone growth stimulation devices to enhance bone fusion. Our second segment is Biologics. This business segment provides a portfolio of regenerative products and tissue forms that allow physicians to successfully treat a variety of spinal and orthopedic conditions. Our third segment is Extremity Fixation, which this business segment offers products and solutions to allow physicians to successfully treat a variety of orthopedic conditions unrelated to the spine. Our fourth segment is Spine Fixation, in which this segment specializes in the design, development, and marketing of a portfolio of implant products used in surgical procedures of the spine. We operate in over 50 countries and have over 900 employees worldwide. Our headquarters provides compliance, legal, finance, HR, and other services to our subsidiaries. 2016 was a very busy year for us. The first half of the year of 2016, we went live on Oracle R12. We upgraded from 11i, and we also implemented HFM Go Live in 2016. After the go live of these 2 projects, we looked to see how we could automate our close management and account reconciliation process to provide better insight to our numbers. During the last quarter of 2016, we implemented financial close management, which I'll refer to as FCM, and account rec tool, which I'll refer to as ARCS, with the assistance of Proficient. One issue we wanted to address was different departments within the accounting group using different close calendars and timelines. As many of you know, your work can be dependent on what other teams do, so we wanted to highlight those dependencies. We also wanted everyone involved in close to be accountable for their part and to close more effectively to allow time for analyzing results. Some of the challenges we faced. Before financial close management and ARCS, We tracked the close process in Excel, in an Excel workbook, and did all the account reconciliations in Excel as well. Tracking the close and reconciliations in Excel provided challenges in closing effectively. So we looked to these tools to streamline our close process to give us visibility into bottlenecks and reduce non-value add time. We also looked at ARCS to ensure all accounts have been reconciled and have a central location. Looking at the timeline, we began this process in the summer of 2016, where we evaluated various account rec tools such as ARCS and Blackline. After seeing demos and evaluating our needs, we decided to move forward with ARCS and FCM. We went with ARCS and FCM given our great relationship with Oracle, and the tools would give us everything we were looking for. We decided to use Proficient for the project based on our meetings with them and references. We kicked off the project in November of 2016 and completed it in December. The core Proficient team was a great group of individuals made up of 3 people who were on site weekly over a 2-month period. Their proposal and timeline was clearly defined, and they stuck to the timeline. We completed the project on time and under budget, which I was very pleased to see. We went live on FCM for our December close and went live on ARCS for our January close. For the period close in December, we were able to set clearly defined tasks for everyone involved in the close process. This highlighted the interdependencies within the close process and allowed us to move items within the close process around in order to gain efficiencies. We were also able to set up a task list in FCM called PBC and provide access to our auditors. This allowed a workflow process where PBC items were created and then approved within the tool before being sent to our auditors. For our monthly close of January, we started using ARCS, which gave us visibility into what recs are open and which have been completed. One part that we like is the fact that if the balance of an account changes, the tool reopens and the rec will need to be re-reconciled in order to ensure that we have all final numbers in the account tool. The dashboards allowed managers visibility into their team's tasks and recs and helps the managers in the process. In regard to the administrative side, I will let Scott give you some insight. Scott?
All right, thanks, Lon. Administration of the tools is relatively easy. In both tools, the core item is the master template of tasks or account recon profiles. And this templates are CSV files is how they originate. In close management, the key is to strike a good balance on the list of tasks that provide insight to the close process, because you need to think from a user perspective. You don't want to have 1,000 tasks in your queue, because how much of that is really going to be, providing benefit to Lon, from a high level perspective. And you don't want to, every time you do a task, have to go into the task list and mark it as complete. So once you have gotten a grip on as to the exact list of tasks, they can give you the oversight and give you a good summary of what the flow would be. Then you have make assignments to the individuals, you put due dates on there, and that becomes your master template that you then use to publish each month for whichever period. The task list, you can make multiples, so you can have one that are monthly tasks, you can have one that's quarterly tasks, annual tasks. In our case, we made 2 separate lists. One was for PBC items and one for SOX items. And the nice thing is the tasks in individual periods, say for December, I published 3 different task lists into the month, which was the monthly, the SOX, and the PBC. And by doing that, I can give view rights individually to that subset of tasks. So the SOX items went to the auditors, but I didn't give them rights to our monthly tasks. But for Lon's perspective and other managers' perspective, we could be able to see the difference between the tasks that were SOX tasks outstanding, PBC tasks outstanding, monthly tasks outstanding. You can also take the tasks and you can embed them, so I can have one different task list that can be comprised of both monthly and quarterly. So when I get to March, I can publish that once. It kind of just depends on how the administration of it is the flow of how you want to split out your tasks. Once you have your lists are published to your preparers, if there's any changes, like a task needs to be reassigned or the due date needs to be assigned, the description needs changed, that can be done in the individual month to the individual task. You just have to remember that if that's to be the norm going forward, is to go and change your master task list so that the next month when you go to publish, those changes are put out. ARCS works on the same concept. You start with the template, that's the CSV template, and you define that as your list of reconciliation profiles. And it's once you've done the close manager, the ARCS is very, very similar, and the architecture, because you'll have your preparers, you'll have reviewers, you set due dates, and other attributes that you can assign to it. And once you have your population of account rec profiles set, then that's your master template that then you can publish to an individual period, and then you begin loading your GL data to it. So you can load and load, and the nice thing is which I had experienced this last go around, is if you have a profile or a recon that's in a closed state, and then you make a change into your GL, and you pull your GL data and you've loaded it back into the tool, if the status is now you don't have an unexplained difference of 0, then your individual recon will move back into an open status in the preparer's queue. And then you can also have email reminders be set so they can be reminded, as opposed to just going in and checking the status of your correct. So it's nice from that perspective that that you can keep everything in sync. There's one repository, website where you just change your period and your list of items are presented to the preparers. And then from example, from Lon's perspective, he can go in and see as a whole where all of the recons are, as opposed to digging down into a network folder to find the differences. So that kind of covers the administration from a kind of a high-level perspective, and I'll turn it back over to Lon.
Thanks, Scott. Just so everybody on the call understands what PBC means, it's prepared by client. It's a list of audit requests, so we've been able to manage that through the tasks list. Just in closing comments, overall, we're very happy with the tools and some of the features, such as the auto reconciliation of zero balance accounts, daily notifications, being able to put a PBC list in the tasks, and giving auditors access to that list. I was happy with the service and professionalism of the Proficient staff, and most importantly, being on time and under budget. Thank you all for attending, and I will turn the call back to the Proficient team.
Thanks, Lon. Thanks, Scott. And so what's next for Orthofix? So, if you look at their Oracle footprint today, from Oracle EBS for the ERP system to HFM for consolidations, and FDM obviously for data load into the consolidations application, and then leveraging FCCS for financial close management and account reconciliation for the account reconciliations piece. What's next? Well, potentially, we talked about with Orthofix that enterprise planning, budgeting, cloud service could be another application that they look at. And really, what would that focus on? It focuses on the annual plan and forecast process in itself, being able to do that in a web-enabled application or even through an Excel Smart View type interface. Focused on revenue and sales planning as a part of that, and then obviously leveraging or bringing in some non-financial KPIs to kind of help the overall budget forecast and planning process, but also from a reporting perspective. And then looking at analytics from both a product perspective down to the SKU and even product, and maybe that's kind of a phase 2 from an Oracle EPM Cloud perspective. And who knows, at some point in the future, they may even get to the point where they take HFM from the on-premise solution and bring it to the cloud. We have done that for a customer before, where they've completely been moving off of an on-premise environment incomplete for their EPM applications. And so down the road, that may be another future initiative. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Susan to talk about questions and whatnot. So Susan, if you want to take over.
Okay, great. Thank you, Santosh. So as Santosh mentioned, we'll be starting the Q&A portion of the event at this time. And I just want to remind everybody that to ask a question, you need to type it into the chat window that you should see in the left-hand corner of your screen. We've had a couple of questions come in already, but if you haven't had a chance to type your question, now is the time to go ahead and do that. We have a number of people on the call today who are involved with the projects. You've got Lon and Scott both on the call, as well as Santosh. So you really do have a panel of experts to ask about this really relevant topic. So please feel free to ask your questions now. As I mentioned, we did have a couple of questions already come in. So I'll go ahead and start with those. And we have others on the call, as I said, kind of backing us up, this panel of experts. So Matt, this one might be for you. Or possibly Lon and Scott, you could chime in as well. Why did you choose the cloud version of ARCS and FCCS FCM instead of the on-premise version?
Yep. This is Scott.
Scott or Lon, I'll let you answer that one.
Sure. One I can offer, being an HFM admin, for quite a few years, is literally in this implementation, there was no servers to have to buy, no licenses for software, there was no burn-in time for servers, have somebody come in and do all the installation, do all the settings, that the infrastructure needs. It was literally, we turned in the PO, Oracle got their money, we got email, and then our instance was on. And if we had our task list all set up after, I think maybe about 30, 40 minutes with the Proficient team, if we had a task list, we could have put it in and been off and running. It's really that quick. So from that perspective, and then not having to be, tied to, okay, now, we've got HFM on-prem, we've traditionally, my perspective, you always have to have another server farm to roll over and implement, upgrade that, roll your data over to that, and then, back and forth. So that was kind of, what I told Lon about it was, from that perspective, not having to deal with all that infrastructure, because you get your patches, the updates to come once a month, as I've experienced, so it's kind of, been no downtime to me.
Thank you for that. We have another question here. This one is from Michael. He'd like to know, is there any ROI or time savings that you have had so far using this product?
Yes, one of the big benefits, this is Lon, one of the big benefits is the close management part of it with all the tasks and the interdependencies that you can set up. We've been able to move a lot of things around so that people are not sitting and waiting for somebody to complete their task, which has really helped move the close process faster. The other benefit that we like about the account rec tool is the auto reconciliation part of it, plus being able to load through FDMEE and being able to pull all the data in. We can answer the auditor's question about the completeness side of it, which is always a SOX nightmare of a question.
So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Santosh now. We have quite a few questions that are coming in that are probably better having Santosh field from a moderator perspective. So Santosh, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Thanks, Susan. Yep, and the questions are definitely flooding in, so let me start here. A question from Greg: is Oracle's strategy to offer the same features whether on-premise or cloud? I can tell you all the R&D dollars from an Oracle standpoint, and I'm not an Oracle employee, but what we've heard is that cloud first is where a lot of the features and functions are going to be coming first. Not to say that they won't be coming to on-premise by any means, but we know that the trend is toward cloud first. Another question by Greg: what does TCO cloud versus on-premise look like for both consolidations as well as budgeting? And that really is kind of specific to customers, but generally speaking, between infrastructure support, IT resource allocation, upgrades, we're generally seeing that it's favorable cloud versus on-premise in just about every condition. But how much of that is going to be variable on which applications, what functionality within those applications you're going to deploy. So we'd be happy to talk to you one-on-one about specific conditions. Got a question from Hari. Backups are owned by Oracle, so no need to take backups by client. If needed, Oracle will start from backup. Oracle will back up the environment as part of your subscription on a daily basis. For customers who are looking to have incremental backups or kind of point-in-time snapshots, they do have the ability to do an LCM or lifecycle management export so that they have that snapshot at their disposal that can be restored at any point later in time. So that's kind of the standard practice from a cloud backup perspective. Question from Franklin: can HFM be replaced by FCCS? And the short answer is yes. There are what we've seen is there's some functions that are in HFM today that are not generally available in FCCS today. It's a very small list, and what we've been told from Oracle is there will be full parity between HFM and FCCS for consolidations by end of their fiscal year, which is May 31st. So a lot of new features are constantly being released as each new patch set is coming out on the cloud version. And we have also Proficient have conducted many customer cloud readiness assessments on HFM and have actually already converted a customer over from HFM to FCCS and are already live and closing their books on FCCS. So yes, the answer is in very unique conditions, there may be some functionality that's not full parity yet, but should have full parity by the end of May 31st. Let's see here, another question. Hari also asks, what is PBC? PBC is not an Oracle product or an Oracle acronym. It's an audit term. And Lon, in fact, I asked the very same question of Lon. It basically means prepared by client for auditors, and in this case, prepared by Orthofix to provide to the auditors. It is an auditing term, not a product term by any means. The question is, and this is a question for Matt or Bharat, can you automate the load of GL data into account reconciliation cloud service? And I think the answer is yes, but I'll let one of the experts answer that question.
Hi, Santosh. Let me take this up. Hi, everyone. This is Bharat. So yes, the load of GL data into ARCS can be automated. It can be done using a flat file, and you can use an EPM automate tool to automate that flat file upload. And if you have level 1 to 4 on-prem FDMEE, then you can also automate it directly from EBS to on-cloud ARCS. Santosh, you want to take it?
Yep, thanks, Bharat. Yep. The next question is from Hari. Is reporting done in Essbase or FCCS? The short answer is one and the same. FCCS is built on an Essbase technology, so you're directly reporting out of FCCS, which is essentially Essbase is the underlying database engine. So directly out of FCCS is the short answer to that question. A question from Bernardo, and Lon or Scott, this question may be to you guys, and Matt, you could probably chime in here. What are the main challenges you faced to implement the consolidation part of FCCS? And maybe I can even answer that. So Bernardo, the question is, they did not implement the consolidations portion of FCCS. They already do that in HFM. They were only leveraging FCCS to manage the close management functionality. So the tasks, the workflow associated around the close management process, not leveraging consolidations as part of the FCCS module.
And Santosh, you may have mentioned this earlier as well, but now the FCM is considered a portion of FCCS, where on the on-premise solution it is a separate product, as you know, but some folks might not know that it's actually included with FCCS. That's a good point of clarification there. So for just to recap on that, if you're an on-premise customer today of Oracle EPM, you would have to license HFM, and you'd have to separately license FCM. And FCM is the on-premise product that includes financial close management as well as account reconciliation management. For the cloud, if you license FCCS, you get two things. You get financial consolidations. You also get financial close management. Account reconciliation cloud service is a separate license application. So it's slightly different between what's on-premise versus what's on cloud. Question from Jeff, and I think I know the answer to this too. Did you utilize intercompany processing within FCCS? And the answer is no. They do that in HFM today, so not leveraging that functionality out of FCCS. Hari asked, is FDM on-premise or cloud? And in this case, for Orthofix, it's in both. They leverage FDM EE for the on-premise solution to load data into HFM. In the cloud, you get a light functionality of FDM. It's called data management in the cloud terminology. And so it is the mechanism to bring data into Oracle EPM cloud applications. It's called data management. And Linda, I think the same question. Linda asked, does Orthofix utilize FCCS consolidation module? And the answer is no. They do that in HFM. So your question is no, they do not leverage that in FCCS.
Santosh, let me take up this. Can I answer Linda's questions? Point 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Do they have insights you'd like to share on FCCS Cloud? Sure.
Yeah. So how many ERP systems are mapped? For ARCS, we are mapping 2 ERP systems. One is EBS Release 12, and they have an older EBS 11 that is still existing. So there are 2 ERP systems that are mapped. There are multiple foreign currencies, and I think about 4 or 5 foreign currencies are set up. But the tool itself is set up, and it's open for multiple currencies out there. So if they have an entity with another currency, they can load that balance in. So I think I'm done with those first 2 questions, Santosh.
Okay. So the question from Stephen Merrick, does account reconciliation cloud service integrate with FCM module? In other words, when a reconciliation is completed in the same rec, is the closing schedule, does it automatically close out on close schedule? Matt or Barad, I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me. So typically, you would not want to have ARCS reconciliations as part of an FCM module, because you would have thousands of reconciliations, and if you have each reconciliation as a task in Close Manager, managing Close Manager itself would be a huge responsibility. Having said that, you could have a task for each reconciliation, but if you close reconciliation, if you close that account in ARCS, it is not automatically going to close in Close Manager.
Okay.
Santosh,
thank you.
Yeah, take up the next question.
So can you access this is from Mike, can you access the account reconciliation directly from the general ledger, parentheses, drill down function, or is access to the reconciliation separate?
So let me take this up. When you say, so I'm assuming you're saying accessing ARCS from EBS.
Yeah.
I don't think there is direct access from EBS to ARCS, but there is an access the other way around. So from ARCS, you can have a drill down to EBS to maybe investigate GL balances or details further if you want to.
Right. So yeah, just to clarify there, Mike, it's going the other way, from the account reconciliation module into the GL transactions as possible, not from the GL transactions to the account reconciliation module. So thanks for that. And then Hari, I think this question is not applicable for Orthofix. Did you lose any functionality by moving from HFM to FCCS? They didn't move from HFM to FCCS. They used both. HFM for consolidations, FCCS for financial close management. Marco, was training documentation out of the box, and if so, how much did you or Proficient have to tailor to meet Orthofix instance? What is the number of end users, and what is the number of trial balances and accounts being reconciled? Matt, if you can talk about how we did training for Orthofix and end users.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Santosh. So the test scripts that we actually used for testing the application were detailed enough that we could actually use those for training. So as part of the implementation process, we did go through and actually use those as a basis for doing some training. Additionally, we added additional script so that Orthofix can use that when adding new users, kind of a walkthrough of how to get your ID, how to log on, how to use the application. So we provided that as part of the implementation services. And then, Bharat, do you have the count of the actual final users, or Scott, do you have that?
I would let Scott answer that, so he'll probably have the latest numbers.
Yeah, currently here for our U.S., we probably have about, I think, 20 to 25, I think I have on there. And then here in the future, we'll be rolling that to some of our international subsidiaries.
Upwards of 50.
Yeah, and if I can jump in there, Scott, sorry. One of the things that I liked about the way that Orthofix approached this project is that they wanted to define the U.S. operations as an initial pilot site. And so initially it was rolled out just to U.S. operations. And as they began to use the application, then they're going to see additional things that they can either add as far as for the close, so additional tasks that they can put there, or maybe take out some of the detail. And the same with some of the accounts that are being reconciled. Once the users actually get used to it, then they can go ahead and add additional accounts that can be reconciled or additional regions as they want to. So it's a very scalable product, and the way that they approach the project, they're going to now expand that to a greater audience. In fact, if you look at our original timeline, we actually had ARCS production ready approximately at the same time as we had the Close Manager portion, but they wanted the users to be able to use Close Manager first, get used to it, and then the following month we rolled out the ARCS component. Santosh, back to you.
Okay, great. And then a question from Bernardo. How are you keeping the account dimension updated against your HFM app on ARCS? Do you have different chart of accounts? Question. And Scott, that may be a good question for you.
Sure. So what we have right now in regards is, so Oracle, when we implemented R12, that became or was to become our global chart of accounts. So HFM was built off the R12, even though we still have some subsidiaries that are still on 11i and a couple that are non-Oracle, but we all map those, and they're all using the same, or end up reporting on the same chart of accounts. So the way, at least I've constructed like we're doing Australia, is I'm setting their recons up as the R12, and in the descriptions indicating what the 11i segments are that they're coming from. So that way when they do transition from 11i to R12, the mapping change will be, it'll actually become easier, because it'll just be a like for like, star to star as it comes into ARCS. so I won't have to really have to reinvent everything when we convert to R12. So using R12 chart from the get-go, and then just mapping the segments just like I am from EBS to HFM. I'm doing the same map in the data integration in the cloud when I pull the GL balance over. So I'm pulling the Australia 11I balance in, but mapping it to the same way that I'm mapping the R12 accounts.
Okay, perfect. And then, so Linda had a question. Do they have plans to move to the cloud consolidation module? If so, when? And I can start this question and then transition over to Scott and or Lon. So HFM was implemented, as Lon mentioned, in 2016 because the implementation started prior to FCCS even being generally available for customers to purchase. So my guess is that the next upgrade cycle for HFM might be the time that they consider taking HFM FDM to the cloud. But given that they just implemented and went live last year on HFM, that's probably not an immediate pain point. Lon or Scott, if you want to add some additional content to that.
That is true. We spent a lot of time and a lot of money getting HFM installed the way we wanted it, so we will definitely keep it on-prem for a little while.
Yeah, back to you.
Santosh, it looks like we're nearing the top of the hour here, so I think we should move on from Q&A and start our wrap-up process here. But I know that a lot of questions came in. This has been a very engaging Q&A session, so we really do appreciate that you asked your questions. And if by chance you did ask a question and did not yet have an opportunity to get your question answered, we'll make sure that someone from Perficient does follow up with you so that we can make sure we get those questions answered. And what I'd like to do at this time as we wrap up, I just want to suggest that you do follow us online. We have a number of social media outlets. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, we definitely post content there, but I'd really highly encourage you to check out the Proficient blog that we have for the Oracle blog. It is full of rich content, and it is updated. We have our folks that are blogging weekly that are providing some new and insightful information weekly, so please do check that out. And next up on the webinar schedule for us, we have how Oracle Sales Cloud Release 12 will boost sales productivity, and that's coming in March. So if you're interested in Oracle Sales Cloud, please do put that on the calendar. And last but not least, if you are attending Collaborate in Las Vegas, April 2nd through the 6th, please do stop by our booth. We will be presenting, and you'll have an opportunity to meet some of the Proficient colleagues, hopefully some that have been on this call today. But with that, I'd like to go ahead and close today's event and say thank you so much for joining us online. Lon and Scott, greatly appreciate your participation. Anytime that you have a customer who participates in a call and shares their story, the value is just tenfold for others who are in a similar situation considering making that technology decision. So, can't thank you enough for that. And to Santosh and to the supporting team of Matt on the call and Bharat, thank you so much for being there to answer these technical questions that we encountered today. And with that, I will close today's event, and we hope to see you online in the future. Thank you.